Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It's Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suttress here. I am happy to welcome back Johnny Cristmas to Word Balloon. First time on video, but we've talked in the past, and it's good to see you, man.
Yeah, good to see you too, John. That intro, by the way, that's woo! I was excited watching it. I was like, "What? This is nice."
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I've been working hard on video, John, for the last couple of months. I won't deny it, but no, I appreciate it. You've been working hard. I am thrilled to talk about this amazing graphic novel that you're doing for Comixology. I could bring up the cover in just a second. Where is it? There it is. It's Crema, ladies and gentlemen. If you like coffee, if you like romance, Johnnie and Dante, let's have you covered. Pretty cool stuff, man. So, tell me the origins of Crema.
The origins. So I was kind of put in touch with Dante. We had an early editor on the project who recommended maybe working with Dante. I'd been saying to almost anyone who'd listened for years that I wanted to do a romance comic, and I lamented that romance comics in North America had kind of fallen to the wayside.
Yeah.
And I would just always kind of lip off about it. And then the idea of being paired up with an actual romance cartoonist, which Dante is, came up. And so I sent Dante some ideas that I had on what might work as a romance. He really clicked with the Crema idea. Being from Brazil and having spent time in the coffee growing regions there. And so we pitched it to Comixology, just and they picked it up. So that's the origins of it. And just so glad to see it actually realized.
So Dante made the connection with Comixology.
Oh no, I made the connection through the former editor, but just kind of throwing ideas back and forth with Dante. It was kind of like, oh yeah, maybe who's gonna pick up a romance set in Brazil, about coffee, but we liked it enough to pitch it, to run with it, and luckily they liked it enough to.
No, I'm really glad, man, and I'm glad that they're willing to take a chance on the romance genre. DC the last couple of years they were doing those specials where they would do like a Valentine's Day, with a bunch of short stories and stuff. I thought those were fun, but also. Yeah, I remember Andy Watson. I forget the name of his book in the early 2000s.
Was it like Glister or something like that?
Then I'm not sure. But then, of course, Blankets and was that Craig Thompson?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I really and to be honest, much like really like crime or Western or sci-fi, it's like why not? Comics are storytelling and. Every genre should, and certainly the Japanese don't have any issues printing romance.
Yeah, they print tons of it, and they do quite well with it. And it's nice to without us doing it so much in North America, we kind of forgotten how well tailored the medium is for romance. You can linger on that moment that that in the movie you have that moment, the kiss or what have you.
Yeah.
But in comics, you can really linger on it. You can really build up to it in a different way. And it's exciting to be able to experiment with that.
Absolutely, man. So because it is a romance, and obviously, as opposed to the big splash page with, a dynamic punch or some sort of action scene, obviously, kisses are important and stuff. From a storytelling standpoint, though, does romance run differently from sci-fi or an action story?
Yeah, it was. Luckily, this was a sci-fi haunted romance, so right. It was like a horror romance, right? So we straddled the lines, And it's interesting how closely horror and romance actually pair up really well, much like we're learning how well comedy and horror pair up, and that these are all genres that lean towards like emotional world building. So instead of like setting up a world on a distant planet, you're setting up the emotional life of the characters, and you're building these things up, and you're ratcheting up the tension until it pays off. In a kiss, or an axe murderer, or whatever, in the horror genre. And it's fun watching, like, being able to tweak those dials and see which way, like, how far you go into one and which one goes to the other, and where they complement each other. That was really fun and really eye-opening.
That's cool. Being an artist yourself, did you and Dante talk about breakdowns? Do you send him breakdowns when you send your script, or did you just send a pure script?
I just sent a pure script. I didn't want that that thing where, and it happened, like, I understand this as an artist, where an artist will disengage because so much of it's laid out for them.
Sure, absolutely.
And they just they're just like, plugging along and just kind of connecting dots. You want to give the artist enough room where it's their story too. It is their story, it's Dante's story too. So I wanted Dante to have a sense of ownership in it. And to do that, I had to, like, pull back. And there were there are moments where, like, if I offered some advice, but it wasn't like hard and fast. Like, only the advice was only in terms of storytelling. Like, we really needed to sell here, or really needed to do this, that here. But the ways in which he was telling the stories, I didn't want to mix in.
I understand. How did you guys had you heard of him before? I mean, how did you guys hook up in terms of, for this project?
Yeah, so we were paired up, like I said, with an earlier editor, and then I went and I hunted down. I'd seen his work before. It was in a TO Comics compilation. This collective out of Toronto that they do these anthologies, really great anthologies, and he did a work in, I think, 2 of theirs, or one of theirs, and it was this really, and it caught my eye because it was like an alligator goddess kind of story or something like that. And the art style was this very elaborate ornamental style that you don't see very often. And it, like, caught my eye immediately. And so then when we started linking up through conversation, and it was like, oh, this is the guy who did that thing. So I got doubly excited, not just seeing his work online, but seeing what he could do on the page. Really was instructive.
That's awesome. Now, this is an OGN, right? This is a graphic novel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. And recently priced, it's like $7.99, right?
Yeah, it's priced to move, man. Comixology was great that way, in that they allowed us to, you don't have print costs, physical print costs, that sort of thing. So we're able to bring it like right down at this, like, really sweet price point for 100 pages of story, a complete story, a complete OGN at like $7. Like, you can't lose, And if you're a Prime member, it's free. So I just love that ability to have it super reasonably priced, and be able to tell the story without any interference on their end. Like, it was like really great for the consumer and really great for us, because Comixology didn't chime in at all, which was really wonderful.
No, that's amazing, and especially that it's 100 pages. And I've been having this conversation, especially in the last couple of weeks, with Brubaker and Stephen Mooney, with Half Past Danger, and Jason Inman and Ashley Robinson and stuff, in terms of where creators are in terms of graphic novels versus the printed magazine, the monthly magazine first, and then the graphic novel. And it just seems, even with Image and even Comixology, that sometimes maybe an OGN is a better idea. And were there thoughts of serializing it prior to making it the OGN?
No, thankfully, and any thoughts that may have come across me that way was only out of habit of working in serialized comics for so long. But I do prefer the OGN for something and that has a lot of character. Serialized is really great in terms of telling stories like a puzzle piece. It's almost like you're solving a mystery as you're writing it, because you've got 22 pages or 20 pages, and you got to figure this thing out, and you've got to, it's like making this clock move at this, so everything arrives at a destination within 22 pages. When you've got more pages, then you could kind of, I I had to like kind of step back from my like, like the clock and go like, oh, I could actually let this breathe a little bit here. And so I'm very much looking forward to working in longer form graphic novels in the future. I like the price points of them. I like the spine. I like the ability to just kind of stretch out a little bit. I do like serialized. I still like it quite a bit, but it's fun to be able to kind of ease into the story a bit.
That's cool. I saw an announcement this week that Dark Horse is going to print a bunch of Comixology originals, and I don't know if yours is part of that mix or a future printed version.
Yeah, hopefully we're in the this first wave. From what I read as well, was I think four of them, and we're not in that first wave, but hopefully we'll be hot on the heels because I would love to get it out in a printed form as well. We've been doing really well digitally, which is like
that's great.
So cool because it's my first digital only enterprise, so it's really cool to see that it's doing super well. But it'd be great to get it because I get these comments from people like, "Hey, dude, when's it gonna come out in print?" I'm like, "Dude, it's digital, But so it's nice to be able to tell them that hopefully someday, soon, they'll be able to hold in their hands.
I gotta say, man, I'm like 50-50 with my purchases. I do a lot of digital buying. I like the way it looks on my tablet. I do think the colors pop really nicely, and I mean, what can I say? So, were you at all affected by? Diamond's shut down, and did you get any pencils down?
Yeah.
Sort of, did you?
I didn't get pencils down, but I'm doing a monthly series that we talked about a while ago, Tartarus.
Yes.
So we were rocking and rolling there with Tartarus, and Diamond stopped printing for a couple months.
Yeah.
So which I don't know their business, so I won't comment on any of their reasons, but we were like 2 issues on the stand, so it was really hard. We built up a lot of momentum. We tried to get the word out. February issue 1 drops, boom. Issue 2 drops in March. Just like I think issue 2 dropped just as the shutdown started.
Yeah.
So it's, and then we had a 2-month hiatus before issue 3 hit stands. So it affected it quite a bit in terms of momentum, and of course the payments were held up, so that wasn't a fun time, but so we were affected for sure.
No, I understand. Did that play into your thinking in terms of wanting to do something that didn't rely on the local comic shops?
Luckily for me, I'd already had Crema already like completed, and
completed. Terrific.
Oh yeah, it was like completely completed. We started Crema in, I want to say, late 2018. I think we got the green light in late 2018.
Okay.
So that was good. And then and I signed a deal recently with Harper Alley, and I'm doing 3 graphic novels standalone for the middle grade market. That'll be coming out. Yeah, it's awesome. So, and I'm already writing the first one, and it's like so cool. It's so much fun. So I've already got like 2, the digital and the bookstore trade market things in the works.
That's great.
So those aren't relied on the comic shops. So that's nice. I'm diversified in terms of the 3 different kind of markets, but it would be. I love comic shops, so I want them to hold on. I love the ones they have it. I love going on in there, like talking to folks, about like, what are you reading, what's going on, Hear people trash talk books, and talk up books, So yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful.
That's cool.
Maybe misguidedly so, but I hope not misguidedly so. Yeah.
Dan from Facebook is a fan, and he says he loves Pisces.
Yeah, thanks.
Really I don't think we've talked about Pisces. Tell me about Pisces.
Pisces is a book that I did back in 2014 with Curtis Weeb, and we only got 3 issues out, and then the whole thing kind of fell apart. So we never got to finish it. Me and Curtis always we talk from time to time, and we fantasize about finishing it someday, and maybe one day we will. But at the time, it was about a fellow who was gonna be sent. The idea was basically the Voyager mission. You've got the golden record that they sent to the stars.
Yes.
Our thing was that what if it wasn't a record? What if it was a dude? What if they got this guy and he was like a soldier or whatever, and they sent him, and he was going to be first contact. But what if the message was flawed? What if he was a flawed human, and the message that we're sending to the stars was flawed? So we went back in time in this very kind of like trippy, hypnotic way, where you see the ways in which he's a flawed human, fighting in Vietnam, doing all these things, coming back home, trying to get his footing back in real world, and not quite sure if he was in this time or like in that time in the 70s, or if he was in a space shuttle. If
he was questioning reality, basically.
He was completely slipping. Yeah, it was a fun book, but like circumstances and outside of the book made it so that we couldn't quite complete it at the time. So hopefully, maybe it'll never happen. But
well, Dan follows up and says he's writing a sci-fi comic and looks to Pisces as a visual reference.
Oh, cool!
There is so imaginative. How about that? That's awesome.
Thanks, Dan. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, pretty
put
cool,
a lot of love into it.
Would it have been 5 issues, 6 issues, and ongoing? I mean, I'd just
yeah. Oh man, Pisces was a complete and total mess behind the scenes. It was completely. So we wanted it to be 5. We wanted in and out. We wanted to like hit hard and fast.
Sure.
And then somewhere along the lines, someone got talked into it becoming like a 10-issue thing, and it was not a 10-issue thing. So the storytelling and the pacing just got kind of wonky, and it wasn't what was intended.
Okay.
So we were on track to do it as 10, but it should have been a 5-issue in and out. So if we go back, I don't know how we'd fix it, but
okay. Well, back to talking about Crema. As you say, the backdrop is Brazil, and I mean, it sounds like you're a big coffee house guy. I'm a huge coffee house guy and have been, since the '90s and everything. So, and I love those independent shops that have character. I mean, I won't deny I'm a Starbucks guy. I love Starbucks, but being in Chicago, we have a lot of great little ones that I was frequenting pre-COVID, of course. Now you got to sit outside and then drink the coffee, which I do. I'll do that occasionally, But yeah, is the Brazil coffee house culture different from ours in North America?
I didn't get to explore that. When we got our green light, I thought I had hoped that we'd get a little more time, because I've been a fan of Brazil forever. I love the music. The people are wonderful. Like like art, culture, all of it. So I was like, you know what? This is my chance. I'm going to Brazil. I'm gonna like tap in, blah blah blah. But it being comics, you don't usually get a bit of time to do it. It takes so long to draw, right? So I had to rely on Dante's knowledge of the coffee growing region, of culture all around, the look, the feel, like all of it. So a lot of it was placed on his shoulders, and he carried it like with grace, So I don't know what their coffee cafe culture is like, but I imagine it's just like it's really wonderful, full of life and music.
Yeah, I would certainly hope so. Absolutely, man. Do you know a lot of Brazilian cartoonists? I'm buddies with Rod Rice, and Joe Prado is a good guy that he's another convention friend and everything, but Rod even more so. But there's two Brazilian DC guys that I've become good friends with. Actually, Rod these days is doing Marvel. Yeah,
he is. And Albuquerque's from Brazil, correct?
Oh yeah, Rafael, of course he is. Yeah. I believe that's correct.
Yeah, and Bon Moon.
Oh yes, the brothers. Good Lord, I always forget. That's hilarious. You're right.
And last I heard, Paul Pope was hiding out down there somewhere. I don't know if he's. I don't know.
That's amazing. So for his sake, that's terrific, man.
Yeah.
Right, the brothers are great, man. Have you had conversations with them?
I've met them like high and by at conventions, but I've never had a sit down combo with them. But that's what I've heard from everyone, that they're great. Yeah. So it'd be great to chat with them.
I saw them last summer at Rose City. I went to Portland, and I was talking to Diana Schutz, and I didn't even realize that they were sitting right next to her and stuff. And it was terrific because I can't remember if it was Gabriel or Fabio, but one of them was just like, have we been on Word Balloon? And I'm like, actually, yes, only once. But you guys did that amazing historical graphic novel. And they're like, oh yeah, okay. And I'm like, guys, you're always welcome back. They're like, all right, when we get off our asses and make something new, we'll come back. And I'm like, okay, great. But yeah, no, they're terrific guys. I respect the hell out of them. Great story.
Yeah, big time.
So funny. That's awesome, man. So like you said, this is kind of a coffee house girl is able to tap into the supernatural world. And I saw even in the pitch, little Neil Gaiman-y with a coffee house kind of spin.
Yeah, people have brought that up, and it's interesting. And I only realized that after people have brought it up, I'm like, that is very Neil Gaiman-y. So I'm gonna pretend like that was intentional. So the idea is,
no, not at all, and be like, I wasn't even thinking of Neil Gaiman when I wrote this thing. Of course not.
Oh, of course not. No one ever thinks of Neil Gaiman. He's like the ever-present, genius of Neil Gaiman.
Oh yeah,
he like rains down on us, like just kind of like he's like the muse of
Absolutely, it's true, man. He does. He comes from Mount Olympus, although I know he's living in rural Wisconsin.
Same thing.
Yeah, it kind of. But no, you're right, man. Just pearls of wisdom, and then he goes back to his dimension.
And he just like recedes to the great mount, and then he comes down, and he.
It's kind of true. I saw him this weekend talking about DC, the fandom presentation that they did.
So you watched the whole thing? I just saw the highlights.
Yeah, I didn't watch the whole thing, but I did watch. I was surprised as much that I did watch because I just was like, oh, that was good. And then the next one, I'm interested in hearing about the next Shazam movie. Sure. Yeah. All right, Suicide Squad. Sure. Okay. And yeah, it was. I have to say, I thought they did a great job. I thought it was very entertaining.
Yeah, I just saw the highlights as they kind of popped up, and I was just thinking like, oh, this looks good. Like I thought it was going to be kind of I don't know what I thought it was going to be, but what it was just a whole different kind of. It seemed like it was really well, packaged and presented and considered, So
yeah, it was very well executed, and it was interesting to see they made it such an international show, which I thought was cool, and they had all these different hosts leading into the pre-recorded stuff. And they were from Spain and Brazil and I keep thinking of romance language countries. Italy. There was a French guy. There was an Australian guy.
That's awesome.
It was really cool. And then like Will Arnett, one of my favorite. Didn't expect this interest in the panel, but he hosted being Lego Batman. He showed all the different international voiceover artists that play Batman and all the different.
Wow.
And yeah, that was kind of cool.
That's really cool.
They did that. You know what I mean? They needed a good shot of after really. I mean, corporations are corporations. There's nothing you can do. Yeah. I know that working in corporate radio for 30 years. I mean, you don't have a lot of control, and a lot of times those are just faceless kind of decisions that suck.
Yeah.
But I mean, it really is. Hey, it's just business, and you got to roll with it. So it was good. I think DC, like I said, needed that kind of positive PR shot in the arm. I'm wondering if Marvel's going to do the same.
Yeah, I hope so. It'd be because the same thing. Like I feel the same way. Like it didn't. It's a corporation that they're trying to make everything add up. So I think maybe that was part of like just not really paying too much attention because I wasn't sure if like it was going to be like, oh, here's the new lineup for we're planning for 2021, and also by the way. You're gonna lose this, and this. I wasn't sure if it was gonna be kind of like a way to soothe, but that it was just kind of all a celebration was great. So
yeah, no, I thought it. Like I said, I was pleased. I thought it was a good spin of hey, we're not dying. Here's all this product that we've got coming up and everything, which is important to kind of put out there and everything. So yeah, I mean, it just again, it did not look like. Not having any sort of marketing prior to that, I mean, I think everyone had a lot of questions about DC. We'll see. They're going to do it again, I guess, on the 12th of September.
I wonder if they timed the layoff announcement before it strategically, or if like because
You know, I don't know, man, because
they wanted to like take the L, and then like then here's a win, you know, and then here's another one, and like just kind of try and kind of smooth things over. I wonder.
Yeah, I don't know, man, because the virtual set that they were all in looked like the Justice League Watchtower. Literally, they looked like platforms in space. And I mean, you know, I know they can do a lot quickly with 3D rendering and everything, but I was very impressed with that. And I know, you know, I don't know. I have a feeling fandom might have been planned prior to the cuts,
before they knew.
That's just a guess on my part. But I don't really know. I mean, and also again, the grand strategy of these are the movies we're doing, these are the TV shows we're doing. There was a bit of comics in there. There was enough that they made a few announcements. Just that whole philosophy too of the multiverse, and the studio head saying we're not gonna. Our movies don't have to be connected. That we will have some that are connected, but we'll also have some that stand alone, and that's the Robert Pattinson Batman. That's Joker. I mean, you know, so it's like, okay, you know, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm glad, like, leaning into that tradition within their comics, it's totally freed them up. Like, I love that it doesn't all have to, they don't have to like schedule them so they all fall in a like certain way, or they can just like kind of pop them out, like, you know, and make them, instead of like planning for the next 4 years, they can kind of respond to what's going on culturally in the moment a lot sooner if they aren't, you know, stacked between 4 movies that have to come out. It's really going to be a cool advantage, I think, in the long term, and it's already paying off.
Yeah, and I mean, I love the MCU, and I love the intricate, you know, plan that they have movie to movie. But it's not the only way to do it. And I mean, certainly studios have been doing just every movie on its own merits and stuff. And it's like, yeah, they should absolutely think in those lines and not turn down a good story just because it doesn't fit with the other story. So yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense.
It'd be cool if they kept it as, because Marvel, for the most part, is pretty linear. If the MCU stayed the way that they're staying, and DC was a little bit more, you know, it'd be kind of cool if they kind of like mirrored their comic book counterparts that way.
Reverse mirrored, like in terms of being opposites or being the same?
like the MCU has them lined up. They have like the intricate planning. It's, you know, it's the world outside your window, that sort of thing. And then DC was much more, because I know when I, the DC that I mostly read are the standalone, you know, like when they used to do Elseworlds and just kind of things that are just kind of where they lean into their mythic archetypal thing. I think that's what DC does best. Like, it's like Batman is an archetype, you know, Superman's an archetype, you know, Wonder Woman's an archetype. Peter Parker is your neighbor, you know that dude, you know. So it's like I want to check in with Peter because I know him, he's my neighbor, but like Batman tells me something about the world, you know, like so it's kind of cool that it would be kind of cool if DC like did that, where they had like this sort of like a mythic tale, and Marvel could be a lot more kind of conversational and, you know, quotidian, you know, daily sort of situation.
That's interesting. That's almost, and you know, I'm an old Hollywood buff, and that's almost like Warner Brothers is like Marvel, where it is kind of the real world and a lot of realism and stuff, the way that a lot of their 30s movies were kind of that way, and very much street level movies, whereas MGM was kind of the Dream Factory, and they would do all different genres and musicals and how the rich are living and how the poor are living and everything. Whereas, like I said, you know, Warner Brothers, you had Cagney, you had Edward G. Robinson, Betty Davis, Bogart, you know, and it's kind of that kind of street level kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. I like that. That's cool. Now, Tartarus, as you say, how many issues are we into the series right now?
We are issue 5 dropped today, so very excited for that. I am writing issue 9 right now, and issue 7 is, I think, pretty well inked. I think issue 8 is probably going to start. The art on that's going to start shortly. So we're chugging along.
And that's 5. That I'm assuming that's the first arc.
Yeah. And the trade will be out on the 30th of September.
Great.
Yeah. So first arc of 5, which is really kind of like, because the first issue was like a double size issue. This thing is like, it's thick, man. So and then issue 5 was like 28 pages, and issue 4 was like 26 pages. Like we had so much story that we wanted to tell that the trade will be like 6 issues, but it's going to be like kind of more like 6.5 issues worth.
Wow.
It's going to be like 172 pages of.
Wow, that's great.
Trade. Yeah, it's going to be thick. So
is that going to be $14.99 or
$16.99?
$16.99. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of pages, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. We're excited.
That's cool. Johnny, would you ever entertain like DC or Marvel work?
I would entertain writing it. Drawing it right now wouldn't be wise for the stuff that I've got lined up. In terms of time, like it takes a whole lot of time, as everyone knows, to draw, and it takes time to write too. That's for certain, but not as much time as to draw. So in my schedule, I could possibly accommodate some writing in it, but not drawing. What I'm trying to build from my career is more creator owned than work for hire.
Sure.
And there's definitely stuff in those universes that I would like to like contribute to and have a say on. And so I wouldn't completely rule it out, but I would like the grand scope of my career to be more in line with Will Eisner's and Jack Kirby's, that kind of deal. So not just in terms of with their output, in terms of just like Eisner having all that wonderful creator-owned stuff, and Kirby having all this fantastic work for hire stuff. But I like what they did with their. I like what Eisner did with his career business-wise, and so I like to study what they do in terms of business as well as art, because you're building something with the career. Hopefully, not just page to page, but the entire suite.
No, and for people to get to know you as a creator first and foremost, and when you dip into the big two, that's great. No, I continue to be fascinated how the last 25 years or so, the business did change, where the pinnacle was working for DC and Marvel, and now it really is, either you strike your own way as you have with a lot of your projects and stuff, or go to DC and Marvel, get a build an audience there, bring them with you to the creator-owned world and stuff.
Which is smart, which is definitely a smart way to go. But I think if it wasn't for being published at a wonderful place like Image, where I can tell these creator-owned stories, and now at Comixology, where I can tell these, and now at Harper Alley, where I'm telling these creator-owned stories, like there's places you can do it. Where you're right, like a lot of folks probably didn't have that opportunity, in the past. But I don't know, like I love being able to have more of a say of what's going on, and be able to have my voice. And I think if it wasn't for these places, I probably would have gone like I was entirely comfortable going the Love and Rockets route, or just like completely self-publishing, just to be able to like tell the story the way I wanted to tell it. And then like, after I feel comfortable saying all the stuff that I wanted to say, then like, oh, cool, I can work on Spider-Man. Awesome. I'd love to do that. But like, I like to get my voice out, so people know exactly what a Johnny Christmas story is like, instead of me being trained up in a kind of a house style of storytelling kind of deal.
Absolutely.
Not to say that conforming to what is being done there doesn't have a value, because I'm sure it does. You'll learn storytelling every new iteration of like trying. It's like a wonderful exercise, right? But it'd be you're, especially early days in a career, you're not sure how many of these looks you're going to get. So if people are only going to get one story from me, I would like them to get one that was, all heart.
I understand. Johnny, did we see each other at C2E2 this year or last year?
We did. Yeah, we did this year. Yeah.
Honestly, doesn't it feel like it was like years ago?
It does.
Honestly, man. Yeah. Well, good.
Yeah.
No, because I know absolutely we saw each other face to face in person. Thank God.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, how are you handling the COVID situation?
I'm handling it. It's weird. So at the beginning was like I'm a cartoonist, right? Like it was almost like nothing had changed.
Yeah.
It was mostly just the sadness of what was going on in the world with like people passing away, man. That's really that'll mess you up.
Yeah.
So then it started getting to kind of like a little bit of a creative mud because the days were there wasn't like you could work as a cartoonist, you work like very long days, but then you go out and you meet your friends and then you recharge the batteries, like refill the well, and then you come back and you hit it again. But when all the days were kind of stacking up on each other, there wasn't really an outlet. So it became like this sort of mud. And then I went away for a month and like cabin.
Good for you, man.
That's and then it was awesome. It re-sparked everything. I saw like whales out the window. There were whales, man, and like deer and just like all these like
where'd you
wildlife. There's these Gulf Islands right off the coast of Vancouver, and this beautiful little island called Galliano, and me and my wife were out there, and we were just hanging out, and I got to writing this script, and it was like stuff was flowing, everything was going great, and it was awesome. And came back to Vancouver, and now it's like trying to find the footing between the mud and like having everything kind of pick up again creatively. So
I know.
Yeah. How about you? How are you?
I'm doing okay, man. I mean, honestly, like I told you, I started doing the video now. I started in March. I got let go from my radio job in April, which sucked.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's helped me put more energy into Word Balloon, and it's been okay. I mean, honestly, thank God for the fans. They're supporting me, which is terrific, and nice sponsorship opportunities have popped up. And as I was telling you a couple weeks ago, I did that Mainframe Comic-Con.
Yeah,
and that was a lot of fun. And I don't think that's going to be the last time you'll see me involved with those guys. Nice. But it was a really nice event. So yeah, I mean, again, things can always be better, but I'm able to stay in my apartment and pay my bills and get by and everything. It's okay. So I'm one of the fortunate ones that like you said, man. No, the days stack up, and it's like sometimes it's tough. My sleep is still all over the place.
No shit. I mean,
what are you gonna do? That's all right, Yeah. But no, and I'm I gotta knock out a couple chins. I got too many chins right now. But other than that, I'm doing all right, man. No, I appreciate it. Like, are you like who are your Toronto comic buddies?
Oh, Vancouver.
Pardon me, Vancouver buddies.
Yeah, no problem. Vancouver comic buddies. So Vancouver is a very transitory city. It turns out people kind of move in and out. But like Tony Cliff was here. I think he's still here. Ed Brisson was here. He's in Nova Scotia now.
Ed went to Nova Scotia.
He's in Nova Scotia. Wow. Yeah, he's in Halifax.
Oh my God! Oh, I'm gonna have to. Man, I keep meaning to. There's another guy I got to touch base with. But I thought Brisson was a Vancouver guy.
He's there. Curtis Weeb rolled through for a few years, and now he's in Oslo.
Interesting.
Holy cow! Nathan Fairbairn.
Yes.
Is here. Darcy Van Polgeest is here. Of Little Bird. Let's see.
Is Oming in Vancouver? Mike Oming?
No. I think he's a Portland guy.
Maybe he's Seattle guy. It's not a Portland guy. Maybe Seattle.
Yeah, I know he's in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, I mean not too far, but yeah.
Michelle, who colors Isola is here. Yeah, there's quite a few of us lurking around. I don't see as many people as I'd like to. I used to see more people like in the shelter days when I first started, and we're just kind of like all in the mix, like Eric Savatsky and these folks. But now it's like it's almost like as we've all grown and like had our careers kind of go off in these different directions, where just, at least me, I'll speak for myself, I'm kind of more like just trying to keep up with all the work,
Sure.
Which is I'm super fortunate and super grateful for. But yeah, I don't get to see so many people anymore. I'm just kind of hunkered down in my little art cave. This is where I live all the time, John. This is where I am. A little art cave.
Don't crack up on us, Johnny. It's all right, man. We're all here, man. It's all right. We're all virtually here, at least. No, I understand. Do you, because of obviously the limitations with COVID and stuff, how are you promoting Crema? Are you doing other podcasts and stuff? I mean, are you talking to other people?
Yeah, doing podcasts, doing interviews, doing anything I could. So luckily, there's a lot of video, a lot of audio. We were able to do quite a bit, so
Good.
that's really good. But yeah, it took this year's promotion cycle took a hit. Like Tartarus was, launched in February, like I said. Crema out July, so it was going to be a big promo year on the road, just doing a bunch of stuff and spreading the word. Shaking hands and kissing babies and doing the whole thing. It's like that's when you got a book out, it's like running from there. You got to just get out there and meet as many people as possible and get the product in front of people and the story in front of people and tell people what tell them about it. And it's a little bit harder now, but thankfully, thanks to opportunities like this one, I'm still able to get out there and talk about the work and about what we're doing and that sort of thing. That's
cool. Well, here, hold up. I'm gonna solo you now. There we go. Hold up Tartarus one more time.
All right. So you got Tartarus.
There you go.
Oh, I don't think I talked about what. Oh, Tartarus 3. I got a few of them here. I was given the okays for the trade today, so I was kind of flipping through, making sure everything's still lined up. We got lots of extras. We got lots of cool stuff. It's a great story. We put a lot of love into it. So get Tartarus. Issue 5 is out right now. And Crema is about a barista who she works at this coffee shop that's famed for having the best coffee in the world. They get their coffee beans from this one coffee farm in Brazil. And the rumor is that it's the best coffee in the world because it's coffee made with love. And the backstory is this lady was waiting for her unrequited love to return. She waited for him, never returned. And when she eventually passed away, all the love she had for him went into the ground, went into the coffee beans, and this coffee is all harvested from that. And Esme is a barista who works there at the coffee shop, and loves coffee so much that she learned at a young age that when she drinks too much of it, she can see ghosts. And then Yara is the heiress of this coffee lineage, the coffee made of love, Cherry Mountain Coffee. And they meet, they fall in love, and then things start to, they get this letter from someone trying to get, who claims to have some sort of something to do with the past of the whole foundation of the coffee plant farm, and they want Esme to take this letter back to the farm in Brazil. But Esme can't tell Yara that a ghost told her to do it because she thinks she'll think she's crazy, and Yara doesn't want to go back home because she's trying to escape the legacies of her past. Okay. So it's this romance, and they're going back to this kind of dark, haunted coffee farm where things aren't quite what they seem. So that's what Crema is all about.
That's awesome, man. Well, I hope you tap into that romance audience. I know they're out there, and I really think that's it. Just like crime, and the way I think Rucka and Brubaker were able to tap into the prose crime world and stuff, and make them aware of their product. Are you reaching out to are there romance novel kind of podcasts that you could promote Crema to? I mean, have you tried?
Very good question. I don't think I've done a straight up romance podcast. I should.
We gotta find those, man. Yeah, we gotta find that. No,
this is John. This is why I get to talk to you, man. Oh,
it's my pleasure, buddy. Absolutely. I hope I'm planting seeds. Absolutely, that'd be my pleasure. But no, honestly, that's the great thing about podcasting is, there's definitely, I'm sure it's being covered. Good Lord, there's
right?
For God's sake, not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's what I'm saying. Pretty much every passion is out there, and there's the Harlequin bodice ripper kind of fans, but this is this very sweet tale that I think absolutely would appeal to the right romance group.
I think you're right. I know you're right. Yeah.
every now and then. So did you mentioned Kirby earlier, and of course Simon and Kirby, were the kings of romance.
That's right. Young romance.
Did you ever read any of those?
No, I read. I think I read like little snippets. I never read like a huge body of it, but I've always wanted to read more, just more of it, and like see how they did it and worked around. Like it's said that they invented the romance genre here in North America. Like so it's so it'd be kind of cool to just kind of see, like it's just a double tap of like Kirby and Simon, but also like romance, and seeing how the ways in which that kind of translated into what they later did with superheroes.
Sure. Yeah.
And again, like Marvel Comics, the world outside your window kind of thing, where it's like so much more day to day and much more emotional and emotionally connected. I wonder if a lot of that came from their romance roots. Like I don't really need to know that much about Superman. I don't need to know what kind of music he likes. I don't need to know what he likes to eat. But Peter Parker, like I feel like I might want to know, right? Like,
yeah,
Well,
there was definitely that soap opera element to Spider-Man.
Oh my goodness!
And it's still there as well. But yeah, I mean, really, when you look at classic, Romita Senior and Stan storytelling and stuff, yeah, no, that was heavy duty soap opera,
big time. Yeah.
So go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, like the whole impetus of him doing this thing, it's not like for justice or whatever. It's because he feels bad. He feels guilty. That's the whole like raison d'etre of this superhero. It's because he feels guilty. Like that's such a kind of like a romancy type trope, that kind of propelled him into this.
I remember in I don't know if it was in Origins of Marvel Comics or Son of Origins. I think it might have been the first volume. They had the Ditko origin, and then they showed a Romita Jr. story where I think the Shocker is introduced. But one of the subplots is Flash is in the army during Vietnam in his home. And Peter just like doesn't want to deal with Flash being a jerk to him. So he kind of starts just being an asshole to Flash. And Gwen is still alive. And Gwen's like, Peter Parker, how dare you? That guy puts his ass on the line every day in what he does. What do you do? And of course, not realizing. Right. And he's just like, stewing in it because he has no choice. And yeah, it's like, it really was. It was just this really great kind of classic kind of so awesome moment where she's like, hey, leave Flash alone. What's wrong with you? And it's like, wow, just stuff like that. And also I was going to say, so many of our favorite artists are really, were great romance artists as well, like Romita Sr. And the one guy who always gets a bad rap, and I understand because he did a lot of, erasing of Kirby lines and stuff, is now I'm blanking. Shame on me. Vinny Coletta. And if you ever see, Vinny Coletta did a lot of romance comics, and he was a really good romance artist. And also, this woman that worked at DC in the 60s, her name was Barbara Freelander. And she did a lot of those Silver Age DC comics and was the editor of them. And I got to interview her at Terrificon last year, and it was such a pleasure because, again, there are some artists of that period that all they did were romance comics. They never wanted to do superhero books, and they're really great artists. And shame on me, I wish I could come up with more names right now. But it really is this interesting genre that when you look at its history, there's a lot of interesting little detours, or even books like Night Nurse that Marvel did in the 70s and some of their attempts at romance. I just think it's a very interesting history.
Didn't someone do a collection? I forget. I want to say it was a European publisher of, like they did a crime one. They did and it was like
Simon and Kirby.
No, of just like romance.
I think
they would do these genres, and they and I think you might have had like some Toth in there, and just like I think I have it on like a bookshelf somewhere. But
sure,
yeah, it's.
No, you're right. That's the thing. It is interesting that, and I love looking at old comic strip, both the soap opera strips, but also like I love Rip Kirby. That's an Alex Raymond. And I'm a big boxing fan, so I love Big Ben Bolt. That was done by Cullen Murphy or John Cullen Murphy, and it's a 50s adventure series with following a boxer and stuff. I love that. Cracks me up.
Cool.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I'm a big fight fan actually. Oh, here we go.
I,
Let's see. Michael points out that yes, Gene Colan and Nick Cardy did awesome work on Romance.
Oh, awesome!
They did. Absolutely, man.
Yeah, I used to be a fight fan, and now I'm rusty. I'm super, but I'm trying to. I started trying to get back into it after the Wilder Fury hype of the last little while. I'm trying to get my footing back in to the fight world.
Oh, there you go. We got a good one coming up in September. Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez and good lightweight fight.
All right, I'll keep an eye open. I need to. This is good. I re-educate myself into that.
God, last weekend, honestly, ESPN Plus, their streaming channel, DAZN, the other streaming channel, and Fox all had fights on last Saturday. And the Fox one was all right. It was Sean Porter, the former welterweight champion, and he had a pretty easy 10-round win. But my God, at light heavyweight, I can't remember the opponent's name, but Joe Smith Jr. is this kind of clubber who retired Bernard Hopkins a couple of years ago at light heavyweight, and he had a knockout win. But the big one was this guy Dylan White, who's been a big British top contender, fought Provatkin, one of the Russian heavyweights and former title holders. And White put Provatkin on his ass twice in the third round, and you thought it was done. And all of a sudden, White throws a lazy jab at Provatkin, comes up with this epic uppercut that knocked him out cold, knocked White out cold. Totally massive upset. Barry Hearn? Uh-huh. Eddie Hearn, the promoter, is like, and like in the press conference, well, these things happen, and of course we have a rematch, but and it's like forget about Dylan White. Provatkin just ate his lunch. It was amazing, great. It was seriously so dramatic. So yeah, as a fight fan, you'd love it.
That's what I love about it. It's like all in the feet. Like you can knock somebody over very easily just depending on their feet. Like everyone's looking at the hands, but it's the feet. It's just that's what I love about it. It's just so.
I'm sure you've seen that footage of Tyson sparring with the mitts.
Oh my goodness.
And everything. Yeah, and it looks great. And don't get me wrong, man, especially for a guy that's like, only a year younger than me. He looks amazing. But it's 20 seconds of him hitting the mitts. And as I keep saying, I've even been on sports radio a few times here in Chicago. I'm like, the mitts don't hit back. And also, as you were saying about feet, your power really comes from your legs.
Yeah.
And both Tyson and Roy Jones, I think it's an intriguing exhibition, and I'll certainly watch. I'm curious enough to watch. It'll be fun. But how are their legs? And let's see if they can really. I mean, it's only scheduled for 8 rounds, but that's the thing, man. I mean, like even Floyd, when Floyd Mayweather fought McGregor, he was so flat-footed and was like walking around like he was stomping on bugs in his yard. He wasn't Floyd. He wasn't floating around like he always did back in the day. And he's 41. It's okay.
Yeah,
Roy Jones during his prime. All of a sudden, Roy lost his legs. And he's a station, and he lost his hand speed, and all these guys were knocking him out at the end.
Oh man, it's. I don't want to see the Tyson fight. Like I feel like somebody's gonna get hurt.
Well, and I hear you, man. But I also think it's like, they will have to pass some sort of physical test. And I don't think they're gonna each go out for blood. I really do.
I hope not. Yeah, I hope they just have fun.
No, and it's. I mean, even hearing Tyson talk about it and stuff, the word is even behind the scenes that this is really like Tyson's trying to do this to help Roy out. And I have no idea where Roy is financially or whatever, but that's kind of the word. And yeah, I mean, he's not going to. I don't think he'll embarrass Roy. I really don't think he'll embarrass Roy, unless it's an oops, and you never know. And again, big punchers. You got to worry about that.
That's true, right? You might snap into I snapped back in 1992 or something, and then
Yeah. Hell, I had heard when even as much as it was choreographed, when Ali and Marciano filmed that they did a computer and then they acted it out, and even apparently both of them accidentally let punches go
really
instinctively, And yeah, I mean, seriously, like both guys would be like, "Oh Jesus, I'm sorry." And it's like, no, we get it. It's all right. And even Marciano being like, in his 40s when he was like 49 when he did it, but he actually went back seriously, like got back in shape. He's like, I don't want to be a fat ass. and he did. I mean, he put on a ridiculous toupee, but otherwise, I mean, he really was like about maybe 10 pounds over his natural fighting weight. He didn't look horrible. And I mean, he could go through the motions. And Ali, if anything, because it was when he was suspended from boxing because of the draft, all that nonsense.
Yeah.
He was kind of puffy. So it's kind of crazy and everything. But I mean, it's completely not like worth watching from any athletic point of view.
Yeah.
But it is fun to see them actually in the ring because it never really happened, So
yeah, it'd be like Terminator Dark Fate of fights. Just like, those are people I like seeing.
I understand.
Just take that as a victory. Like, okay.
Have you seen have you watched anything fun that while we were all stuck inside? Anything you want to pass along?
Let's see. What am I watching right now? I'm watching The Morning Show, which is really great.
Oh man, I have Apple Plus. I haven't watched yet, but I hear great things.
Yeah, I had it foisted on me. I bought a phone, and then all of a sudden, Apple's like, I don't want another streaming service, man. And then they were like, it's a year, and I'm like, for free. Okay. So and C, that's on Apple, is amazing.
Yes,
is amazing. I can't. So I'm 2 shows in on Apple, and I'm completely impressed with what they're doing over there.
Yeah, For All Mankind, the astronaut show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I loved it. I'm a big Battlestar Galactica fan, and it's Ron Moore producing this show.
Nice.
Who also produced Galactica.
Yeah.
And it's if you don't know the premise, it's what if the Russians beat us to the moon, and so it's like an alternate history starting in the 60s with Russia beating us to the moon, and everything that happens after that, and it's totally a butterfly effect of different presidents. And they push ahead the women's astronaut program, and now the Russians and the Americans have moon bases on the moon in the 70s.
Oh, nice!
So it's really interesting. It's well done. It's very, very well done.
I will check that out because I'm thoroughly impressed.
Yeah. No. Apple's no, and I even watched an episode of the new Amazing Stories that I believe on Apple.
How's that?
I think it was on Apple. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. Well, I was interested because it had a superhero kind of bent to it, and it's one of the last things that Robert Forster did.
Oh,
and he played a grandfather that gets a hold of like some crazy ring that gives him superpowers. It was pretty good. It's about a grandfather and grandson. Oh, here's a question for you from Dave Baker. Hey, Dave Baker. Nice haircut, Dave. What the hell?
All right. So Dave and I have been we've been listening to Robservations.
Yeah.
And then we had a debrief last week. We're like, we had a debrief. We had to talk about this thing.
Sure.
So this is why he's asking about my thoughts on Liefeld's Robservations. Have you heard any of those?
I haven't yet, and I really want to because I love when Rob comes on, and I love when he talks. I just let him, Rob, how are you? And I get out of the way, and it's always an entertaining conversation.
The thing I love about that guy is that like his art is all like excitement amped to 11, and then he's excitement amped to 11. Like it's like the same thing. So on Robservations, he's the last 3 episodes have been him talking about Heroes Are Born, and so from his perspective,
yes,
and it's been thoroughly entertaining. I recommend everybody go out and give him a listen. The first 3 especially. The last one was a little rambly. I don't know if he's run out of steam, but the first 3 were like incredibly entertaining, and hearing Rob's behind the scenes.
That's awesome.
Take on Heroes Are Born. So.
No, man. I mean, that's literally. He was one of the first video guys that I talked to when I started doing this, and he's always entertaining. And I heard he started doing it. And I kept meaning to start listening to his show. That's terrific.
Yeah, I would. He's so fascinating. I would love to have a conversation with that guy. Just like, I don't know, just like hang out with Rob.
Oh yeah, man. No, and you're right. He's like seriously just always tons of energy and very positive, and
Yeah.
So no, I like Rob a lot. Oh, here, Michael Cooper. I think Rob works best when he has someone to bounce off of. Oh, is he solo on the show? Is it just
Yeah.
interesting?
No, that might help. I think he said in a teaser that he's going to have someone on to interview him as kind of like a postmortem on that whole chapter. But his it's it's in these he's just kind of talking, and which
is it video and audio?
I've only heard audio.
Okay.
So it's really cool to hear. It is. I see the point of having someone to bounce off of, but it's really cool to hear him follow a line of a train of thought on stuff. Because I'm leaning forward because I was as a kid when the like image boom happened. So I was just like, it was. I mean, I'm doing an image comic because of what they did. It's so much. It's so much a part of like my world. So it's cool to hear any lore from that time. So having one of them actually just like no holds barred, it's just like super exciting to me.
Well, that's truly when I talk to him, that's the stuff I want to hear. Is like, tell me what it was like in the room when you guys were making the decision to leave Marvel. I mean, that's literally what we talked about last time. And we didn't talk much about Heroes Reborn, but I would like to know, what was it like going back and doing what you did? No, I'm fascinated. And I mean, it's one man's point of view, but that's all right. John, there's a reason why I do interviews. I had to host a lot in radio, by myself, and then generate calls, and then hopefully get callers. And it's tough to kind of talk by yourself extemporaneously.
I can imagine, yeah.
I like the comfort of doing an interview and having a conversation rather than just, and then.
And to what you were speaking to just now, that I don't mind so much when there's when it's like one person's point of view, like, okay, this is Rob's take on what happened then. But we're all aware that that's Rob's take on what happened then. I don't know. I wasn't there, man. You know what I mean? Like, so it's, totally. but knowing that it's this guy's take on it is kind of, I find it just as interesting to hear what people say and tease out why they said it as much as if it's like, rock solid truth. Like, why does he want us to believe that? It's just as interesting to me as the story that he's telling.
I completely agree, man. No, I agree, and I can think of a lot of autobiographies of controversial people.
Yeah, big time.
I've read, and it's like, no, I know exactly what I'm getting.
Yeah,
but I want to know that point. I want to know how they justify it or whatever.
Right, and maybe they want you to know it because it's absolutely true.
Maybe.
Or maybe, either way, it's interesting. It's
I'm
always,
with you, man.
It's entertaining. So
absolutely. Johnny, as always, great conversation, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. Anytime. And so Tartarus, issue 5 out today.
Issue 5 out.
Is it Tartarus or Tartarus?
However you like it. I say
Tartarus. Because I know we had this conversation before. I'm like, Greeks, we say Tartarus or whatever, Tartarus.
So I should defer to you on, however you want to say it, my friend. I'll follow your lead.
No. And Crema, already a Comixology original. Fantastic. $7.99, 100 pages. You can't go wrong. And it's a very sweet, romantic story with a little supernatural tinge to it. So good thinking, Johnny Cristmas. I like what you're putting out there, and I'm excited to see the new projects. And whenever the new projects are ready, let me know, and we'll do this again.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, John. Like, I always appreciate it. I always love having these conversations. It's like, I'm so honored to have been on your show twice now. So I'm looking forward to a third.
It's a pleasure getting to know you, John. And honestly, you're a talented guy, and I'm happy to let everyone know how much I think of your work and hopefully add to the audience. So
Thanks
it's my
so
pleasure
much.
as always talking about it.
Really appreciate it. Thanks.
It's my pleasure, man. Johnny Cristmas, everybody. Great talking to him. And thank you all for watching tonight. More Word Balloon Live coming up Friday. I'm going to be talking to Jeremy Hahn about 40 Seconds, another Comixology original, by the way, and some other things that Hahn has got brewing. And tomorrow morning, how about this? Ladies and gentlemen, an internet icon, Mr. Skin. Yes, that guy. Oh, yeah, that guy. There's a movie about his life that is available right now. And Mr. Skin is a Chicago guy, and he's an equal opportunity guy. If you like if you like beefcake, ladies, Mr. Skin. If you like cheesecake, gentlemen, Mr. Skin. It's equal opportunity, and I love it. And he's one of those great internet success stories that I find fascinating every time I talk to him. So that's coming tomorrow morning, 11:30. I want to make sure I got that right. Yes, 11:30 Eastern time, 10:30 Central. So we'll be doing that Word Balloon live tomorrow. Until next time, as